Alright, afternoon YouTube. It's been a while since I've done any, well, it hasn't been a while since I've done any filming, but it's been a while since I've uploaded a video. I seem to set off to do something and set off videoing and then get going with it and you don't finish the video off. So here's one that I've done backwards. I've started the project without filming it and I'm sort of halfway to done. But as you can see, the weld is out, which is a good sign. But just building a landscaping rake attachment that just bolts onto the bottom of my grading bucket. So what I've got is these tines are muckfork tines, and it's a good thing that my old man breaks a lot of them on the job. They have a full set of 6 and I've cut them in half. So obviously there's the pointed end and then the sort of thick end. And what I've been able to do is cut the piece off the end where it mounts, because they all snap in the same place right where they go into the fork. But yeah, and all I've done then is fasten them onto a plate and drill some big holes with some big bolts. And then of course they're sandwiched then between the cutting edge of the bucket and the plate on the bottom. All I've got left to do is just weld them all up solid. They're just tacked in place at the moment. It's a mean looking thing, but it should do. So that's the view from above, and yeah, it should work for what I might end up doing with it. It's just be grand for any sort of landscaping projects. You can just rake through the soil, pull any bricks and any lumps and stone and all else out. Makes it easier than doing it by hand anyway. Yeah, I've got my holes drilled and everything. I've got 4 big bolts holding it on, which I think should be strong enough. All that's left to do is weld the tines up, so I'll get a quick clip of that, but it's all the same, it's just welding. And I'll get it done and hopefully get a quick bit of video of just trying it out. And we'll see how it goes. So the spacing between the tines is about 3 inches, and I think they're about 6 inches from the edge of the cutting edge. Oh, make it 7. Call it 7. 6.5, 7, depending on whether that big one's at little ones. Be interesting to see how good it is. Right, so I'm going to just unbolt that. I just bolted on to check they all still lined up, because the piece of steel that I welded them on bowed once I'd welded it with tension, but they still all line up, so we'll go for it. Okay, so I've just got set up to weld them up. As you can see, I've just got them tacked at the moment. This is one that I had spare, so I used it as a sort of a test to see which rods work best on this steel, because these tines, they're like, I guess they're hardened and then tempered, so that obviously they don't bend. But that's the normal length of them. It's muckfork tine off the 6610 at work. And, I mean, I can't say it's just my dad that breaks them, because I've done 2, but I haven't done any since, and he's done a full set, so I'm doing a bit better than he is. But yeah, they snap here, which is right where the taper starts that goes into the actual box section on the muckfork. Because what seems to happen with loading branches is you're lifting and then you press the load down and it's pressing and it works this bit sort of loose. Sort of the circle, it kind of works loose, and then you get them, if you catch something or you use a fork sort of vertical and rake, it just snaps them. But yeah, so like I was saying, they're a funny steel, so I tried a couple of different rods. I tried 70-18, which are a bit fancier, but didn't do very well. Some 60-11. Found 60-13 works best, and from then I've just decided to use 4mm 60-13. What I found with them is I'm running them quite hot, So yeah, so these 4mm rods, I usually run them about 150 amps, and I'm running them 165, and they seem to be doing better. But the steel's the tines are pretty good, but there is occasionally, like, it must be a bit of carbon just in steel and it sort of blows out, but it's not big or bad, you just go back over it. But I'm glad I can actually weld them. Sort of when I started, I did that test to make sure that I could actually weld them with them being sort of hardened and tempered. And what I'm going to do is get them all welded, and then I'm going to quench it just in water so it doesn't cool down slowly and take any of the tempering or the hardening off them. I don't know a lot about all this steel, but to temper stuff you cool it quickly, or is it? I think it's to harden stuff you cool it quickly, and to temper it you cool it not as slowly as room temperature, but not as fast as quenching it. But I don't know. We'll give it a go. I don't think I'm going to break them, not being that short and sort of on bucket, like, you know. Probably break the bucket before I break the tines, but so I'm going to get welded. So they're not too shabby. Hopefully you can see that, and you'll have seen something reasonable from camera. I'm going to weld them all on this side, and then I actually turn around and weld them back the other way, because I seem to be stronger welding with my right hand, welding sort of to the right. A bit weird, but if I try and weld this one in here, I seem to struggle a little bit. So I'll do what I can. Spin it around on a table easy enough, so I might as well do it. Yeah, I was thinking I might have to put a couple of passes on, but I don't think they're going to move off there once they're fully welded. And of course the design was so that the cutting edge is above there and they're trapped. The only thing I'm going to have to do is these tines are thinner than the back pieces, so I'm going to put a pass of weld on sort of there and on there just to build them up a little bit to keep it kind of flat. But you can see, I don't know if you can probably see in camera there, welding on the top side of the steel plate is actually bowing it just from the I guess temperature change, but it'll go back to flat when I bolt it on. So yeah, that's the sort of script. I'm going to weld all that up, and I'll put it together and probably show you it when it's on machine. Okay, I've got it welded up and bolted on. I've welded all down inside there, and it's bolted on nice and tight. I haven't got any, well, it's got one locking nut on it because I've only got one. If they come undone, I'll have to get some for it. Just get 4 locking nuts. I'm debating whether to put a bit of weld around these heads, just so that they're fixed in place and it's easier to put it on then, but for now I'm going to leave it as it is. The only sort of downside, I don't know if the camera picks it up, is it kind of bends in here because I've put 2 smaller thinner tines and then 2 thicker tines, and it bends. But I mean, It only bends like 1/4 of an inch, and we're not going to be bothered 1/4 of an inch in level. You might be able to just make it out if I put it down there. And the only design flaw that I've seen is the bolts. Putting the bolt here, this outer tooth, I have a funny feeling it might bend out. If it does, I'll just cut it off there, because I mean it's 4 foot wide, so the 2 end teeth won't be any great loss, but it'd be nice if it works. I could alternatively put a small bolt in here, but I don't really want to drill many holes. But we'll see if it does or not. I mean, it's a fair piece of steel. It's just I have a funny feeling this one will probably bend a little bit. Depends how much stick I give it. If it's running in sort of soft sandy soil that's been laid in sort of recently on like a landscaping job, it shouldn't be too bad. I'm not going to be cultivating with it or anything daft like that, so. But yeah, that's what it looks like. Obviously it sits down from the bottom of the bucket quite a ways, which, well, it might make the bucket a bit awkward to use, but because of how it sits. But I mean, you'll be able to angle it with digger. I'll find out in a bit anyway. But yeah, the idea was so I can rake the stones up, and if there gets to be enough of a pile, I'll be able to pick them up with bucket without taking attachment off. But I think it looks alright. It should do the job. I'm going to go and try it now. I'll get a machine out and I'll probably video just trying it. the bottom and try it on some sandier stuff, because it's this is just clay that I packed down, but that does a nice job. Now obviously you can tell it's just pure clay that I laid out from when we dug the trenches, but it's pulled the stones out quite nicely as that. That in some finer soil, that'll be nice for that. And I can still sort of get a bucket full. I mean, it'll be a lot easier when there's a big pile of stones. You know, it's always going to leave a little bit with having teeth, but that'll be quite nice for that. Sure as hell beats doing it by hand, especially when there's like a bloody breeze block or something and it's, you know, nearly a pickaxe job to get the damn thing up. But fingers crossed I get to use it. So anyway, it seems to be holding and straight, so I'll give it a bit more of a test in a few minutes. Okay, so oh lord. Anyway, well happy with that. It's doing a lovely job. And yeah, it's dead handy. I've just I didn't need to do this bit, but I've just done it. It's just a bit of loose soil, and as you can sort of see, it's raked it up quite nice. It gets any big stones out of it. I'm glad I left the teeth as long as I have, and it's quite good. Very happy with that. That'll save a lot of sort of hand work. And of course, I mean, if you're only talking sort of rough grass, if this was a little bit drier, you could nearly pop it straight in. There's a few clods in it, but that's quite nice. That'd be good enough for what I'm looking for anyway. So yeah, I'm well happy I built that. It's going to be good. Fingers crossed I get to sort of use it. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.